Alright, welcome back to the channel. So what I'll be doing in this video is to touch back on the reusable Vuetify components library that we've been working on for the last few months. Uh, so essentially what I want to do is in this video is to pretty much clean the components up a bit. So effectively or essentially it is a little bit opinionated with the layouts and um rows and column and the whole grid system and all that, having containers right there in a component and so on and so forth. So what I want to do is actually give the user of the library the ability to define how they want to actually lay out their component within their applications. And you guys can let me know also if you think that this is something that you would prefer or not, and then we can adjust to compensate for that. But for me personally, I think I would prefer to have control over how I want my components to be layout as opposed to having it being a little bit too opinionated. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. So what I have here is just the browser on one end and my editor and the server on the other end. So if and I have two tabs open, one of them is for editing, so I'm gonna open my editor. Obviously, we use Vim, and this is our project here. All right, so first thing that I want to do is to fix this error that we have here, and that's pretty much a validator issue or error for the prop that is supposed to be used with this field here. And this is simply because in the uploads, what we have here is actually a string for our image, and it should actually be, or for here, for our V model here. So for the file input, it should be an array. So I'm gonna do is just to put an empty array there. For the preview, I'm gonna keep it as is because we don't necessarily need to change that because it's not being used within the file input. So we're only using it up here. So we can go ahead and save and quit, and I want to also go ahead and rebuild this library. Alright, so you can see that that refreshed and once it was completed, and now we do not have that prop validator error anymore. So let's go get into the meat of what we are going to be doing in here. And as you can see, first of all, this kind of takes up the entirety of the screen, and that is because of how we have it laid out in our components. But we don't necessarily want that to always be the case. We want it to be defined by the user themselves. So if we go over to the playground here and go to the app.view, you can see that pretty much you just take in what's there within the components. So for this one, it is fine, and this is the way that we're going to kind of basically leave this for now. For the height, it actually should be defined by the user, as well how tall I want to be, and we're gonna do that in a next video or so when we look at adding props or specific props for customization, and then the user will be able to decide how tall or what height they want, either the image or the card itself, if we're going to be continuing with the card. But for these ones, what we want to do is to actually just remove a lot of these because we actually want them to decide if they want to have this in a column, rows and columns, and also have a container around them. So that's that. Let's save that as is. So it will format a bit for here also doing the same thing. The only thing that we're leaving is the card, and I actually wanted to remove the card as well, but for this example we're just gonna leave it for now, and gonna remove here. But this is where a little bit of caveat is going to be. So you'll notice that this will not be a single element if we should go ahead and remove this, because we also have this background on here. So what we're gonna need to do is to actually, we're gonna remove up to here because we don't need this other title up here. So that's just a heading there essentially. We're gonna leave the space justified here, and this column we don't need it, so we're gonna remove that as well. So everything else below here should be, well, should be good, except for we remove the row. So one of the reasons why I'm leaving the row in here is because I have found that this thing here seems to only work with it. I'm not so 100% sure. I need to do some more testing, but it seems like it only works with it, so I'm just gonna leave that as is. So let's go ahead and go to the register component, and what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna go from the bottom and just gonna remove these here and then go back to the top. And the reason I'm doing this is because I actually just want to have this on the clipboard. So let's save that, and what I'm gonna do is to go over to the playground, well, to playground here. So if we go to app.view, and we can change this one to something like the login component, and if we save, it's gonna automatically go there. You're gonna see how it looks now, because this is what it will look by default. But if we should right and quit, and we're going to go ahead and build the library all over, we're gonna see a difference when it refreshes. Alright, and now once it was built, you can see that we now have this completely taking over the whole entire area of the viewport. And now, as the user of the component or the library here, we can decide how we want this to be placed on our page. So for example, what we had before, so I'm just copying it. So let me just put a column, a row, and a container. And when I save this now, it should go back to the way that we wanted it, or the way that we had it before. But say for example, then we want it to be on the side here with, like for example, we want it to be within 2 columns. So let's say I put this over here, and let's say for argument's sake, then this is going to be, well, 4 and 12, well, let's say 8, because I think it should be up to 12. So we're not gonna use any of these, so I'm gonna remove all of these right now for the sake of this example. So we define it as so. So let's say for example we only want it on the right hand side, and for argument's sake we have an image over to the left, then we as the developer or the person using the library can decide where we want to adjust or put our information, is our component, without it interfering with what we already have. So that is pretty much it for this video. What we wanted to do was to make the components a little bit less opinionated, so the user of the library, they can decide how they want to place it or give it their own opinion on how they want to develop with it. So that should pretty much cover it for this video. You guys can leave an issue to let me know if you think that having it more opinionated would be better or not, and I'll be happy to hear that, whether in a comment section or through a GitHub issue. So that should do it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.